let's talk about something that people seem to think is controversial. Okay, this is about magic and curses and how they do exist and they are real. People can tell you that you're not an intellectual if you think that magic and curses are real. Which honestly makes no sense to me because how could you not as an intellectual? You can't tell me that it is not real when you are trying to tell me it's because you think it's not real because of evidence based facts. When there's evidence based facts that it is. There is a museum in North London in a small little town that has a chair in it suspended in mid-air because it is cursed. Every person who has sat in that chair has died. And when it was given to the museum, the owner who made the chair told them that you have to suspend this in the air and make sure no one sits in it. People have also went to this pub, which exists, and have had eye count experiences of the creepy vibes and the bartenders telling them not to sit in those chairs and to stay away from the edge of the bar because that's where he usually sits. Because the guy who sat in that chair who died was a raging alcoholic who was a thug and had an act for violence. These are 3D things. These are tangible. This is not made up. The museum is not made up. The chair is not made up. The people who die are not made up. It happened. It's real. The Hope Diamond. The Hope Diamond is beautiful, gorgeous, but absolutely deadly. Every single person who has owned the Hope Diamond has a significantly more difficult life and it had took their life later. Every single person. And now it resides in another museum behind a glass box, like they do, because it's too dangerous to be in the hands of anyone. You can seriously look this shit up and follow the people the Hope Diamond has had been owners of and see these people's lives drastically take a worse die for the worse because they owned it. They didn't even have to wear it. Literally owning it was enough for them to be affected with the curse. How many more fucking damn Egyptian tombs are we gonna open that specifically says do not open because it's cursed and then be surprised when you're cursed? The only survivor of the opening of the King Tut's tomb was actually wearing the Atlantis ring. And he said because he wore the ring, his words exactly, because he wore the ring, it helped ward off the curse. But every single other person who was in that tomb, who was excavating it, died a mysterious death. One of them died from a blood disease that science could not help him figure out. One man's house literally kept burning down to the ground. He moved at least twice. And then it took their life. He was literally the only one left because of the ring he wore. And he wore it because he knew of the magical properties it had. And you can now buy replicas of this ring. Come on now. These are real people. These are real sites. These are real things that happened. The Robert doll is located in a museum in Florida. This doll was given to this grandson by the grandpa, who was also named Robert, not the grandpa, but the grandson. Robert had an unhealthy relationship with this doll. And the parents said that he became really antisocial. And they could hear that at night, him talking to himself in two different voices, and walking and creaking and giggles. And the dog would always be in a different place than they seen it last. And how their son was literally talking to it like it's a whole person. This man had never grew out of that shit. He literally kept that doll until he died. And he set it in the window on the second floor of his house. Out in the window, because that's where Robert likes to people watch. And there's been eye count witnesses of people seeing it being there and not being there and smiling at them. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. This man died not knowing anyone else but Robert. When he died, the lady who had bought the house also bought Robert. And she didn't believe in it either. But the same shit was happening to her. And she couldn't handle it anymore and gave it to the museum. And also you would see on the museum, next to the exhibit, is notes of people begging Robert to lift their curse because they were rude and impolite to Robert because they didn't believe in him or disrespected him and did not ask to take a photo of him. Once again, these are real people. Tangible 3D things that you can go see. The only empress of China was also a user of black magic. There's an article on National Geographic about it. She was working with one of the cultists to do things like death spells and love magic to keep the emperor enamored with her and to keep her power. People say that she's so terrible, but she's not doing anything different than anyone else. If you seriously study ancient China culture, you will see that people have done things to keep their power in order to eliminate other people. And this isn't even anything new with just royalty in general. They literally are so pressed about it, they literally inbreed it with one another. This is not made up. I'm being 100% truthful with you. It is rooted in their culture too. There literally is a whole word and a whole thing about it. Even voodoo, it literally is the center of their religion is magic. Come on now. Come on now. So, no, sir. It's not that I'm not an intellectual, because I am intellectual, but I'm not going to dismiss what's something that's not there because you said that it's not there, when time and time again has shown that it's there, it exists, it's documented, it's in a 3D, this is tangible. You can go see these things, you can learn about these things, you can do a quick Google search and learn more about it. You can literally go to the locations and see it there for yourself. So yes, it does exist. Come on now. What do you think this is? Ashton Kutcher's pranks? This is not a police system. You can literally carbon date these things and it will tell you this shit is ancient. This is not pranked. Ashton Kutcher is not going to jump out and be like, you got pranked. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. You cannot tell me that I'm not an intellectual just because I'm someone who's spiritual and evidence to back up that it actually did happen. These curses and the magic that has been thrown is real. These people have practiced it. These people have been cursed because of it. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. You better stop playing around with forces you don't know about. You better stop being disrespectful. That's all I'm saying. This ain't no hoax. Go ahead and do it if you want to. Go ahead and do it if you want to. And then you're going to see what happens. There's also something else I forgot to say, but deadass, it conveniently will be on the tombs, or it will say that it will release a plague onto you and onto the world if you open it. And then people willingly do this shit knowing this shit. And went there based off of a legend which people said was unreal and then found it. That literally happened in 2019 with King Tut's tomb. They excavated it again. And then what happened literally the year next? Corona. And then what happened to the people who were in there and excavated it? Died. Except for one guy who had the Atlantis ring that had magical properties that he heard from a legend, that he found from a legend that protected his ass from not dying and the curse of it having on his life. Come on, y'all. Just because you don't know about it, you haven't seen it personally, does not mean it doesn't exist. Because it does. That's like saying the oranges don't exist because you've never seen an orange. It exists. Just because you haven't seen an orange means you're uncultured and you never tasted an orange before. But unlike a fucking orange, you can pick that shit up. Unlike the fucking curse, you can pick an orange up. You can eat an orange unless you're allergic to citrus. Y'all better stop playing games. Y'all better stop playing games. Y'all better stop playing games. Y'all better start putting respect on divine in the spirit's realm. I'm being so serious. Y'all better start putting respect on the spirit realm. And so many damn fucking I count witnesses of people saying that spirituality changed their lives. I'm one of them. Spirituality had changed their lives and saved them. So many people have went through all the therapies possible. Even like the electric shock therapy, and still could not find what was wrong with them until they had taken up spirituality and now are happy and balanced. Because they cleansed out their vibrations, they cleansed out their aura, and they worked through entities, demonic attachments, and heavy energies and all like that, evil eyes and hexes and curses that were placed on their life and on their family, which let them have a better quality of life for the next generation after them to have a better quality of life. This shit ain't new. It's really not. And to think that somehow we randomly got put on this earth where you can't completely 100% say that we came from monkeys or from fish, but then want to be like, oh no, you're wrong too. What kind of... A true intellectual would acknowledge that both have a possibility. But then how did the monkeys get here? How did the fish get here? How did anything get here? Y'all better stop playing games. Period.